Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today we've got a tip video. Yay, it's that day of the week. It seems you're definitely liking these videos, so I'm going to carry on with them for a while. And this one is all about matting and layering. Now, people ask all the time, how do you mat and layer and how do you get your layers set up so that they're just right? I work to a method based on the fact that I am British, I'm in the UK, I'm in Europe, so I work off international A4 cardstock, which is metric. So it's 29.7 centimetres that direction by 21 centimetres that way. I don't work in imperial. I can work in imperial, obviously I do with my video projects, but I don't when I'm making cards, just because well, I don't really know why. But I do know that those of you in North America work off 8.5 by 11 cardstock. However, I also understand, because I am one of those people, I work in both imperial and metric, and I'm quite lucky in that. I was, born in the 70s, that's what I learned at school. But there are some folk who only work in metric and some who only work in imperial. So I'm going to explain to you how I do my matting and layering. So I've just got random cardstock. I've got a couple of bits of Berry Burst, a piece of Whisper White and some DSP so you can see how I work. So the first thing I do is I cut my piece of cardstock in half. Whether you're working in metric or imperial, it's irrelevant. Cut it in half. So in imperial, a piece of coloured cardstock is 8.25 inches wide. And it doesn't matter whether you're working that way around or that way. So it's 8.25 by 11.75 of an inch. So basically you have to divide that in half if you're working, as I said, in metric. 29.7 by 21. So just simply cut it in half. So I know I need to cut mine down to there. So you need to work out the full size piece of cardstock you work in, cut it in half, and then score it in half. And that will give you your card blank. That's what these are called, card blanks, card bases. It's half a piece of cardstock cut in half. It's a piece of cardstock cut in half and folded in half. What you need to now look at is what size that is. So mine is 10.5 centimetres by 14.7. Okay, that's what mine is. I'm going to take half a centimetre off that. So if I write it down for you, and that is the wrong end of the pen, 10.5 by 14.7, and take half a centimetre off that. I really, really hope you can read it. Might have to use this thicker end. 10.5 by 14.7. That's metric. So I need to take half a centimetre off that and take it down to 14.2 and 10 centimetres. In imperial, that is 4 1/8 by 5 7/8. And I would recommend you take off 1/4 inch. That would be my recommendation to narrow it down. So that makes it 3 7/8 and 5 5/8. Making sense? So you just take a little bit off. So I'm going to bring in some Whisper White and get black ink on it apparently. Let's turn it over. So 10 centimetres, oh that's the scoring one, by 14.2. Or if you're working in imperial, what did I say, 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. So that's a metric with the border all the way round. If I put it down, hopefully you will see. That's an equidistant border all the way around. So that's imperial. No, it's not, that's metric. This one is imperial. So it's slightly more, but you've got the same border all the way round. Okay, and you just keep doing it. So we'll have another layer. So you just take off another half centimetre. Make that 9.5. Make that 13.7. That would become 3 5/8, and that would become 5 3/8. So let's do an imperial one. So 9.5 by 13.7. So let me find my metric one. And I can't do this holding it up in the air. That will give you this lovely equal border all the way round. However, sometimes you see me doing cards that have got a big white background. So what you would do then is, so you come back to your original, where was it? This one here, 10 by 14.2, and you might want to take off 2 centimetres, which makes that 8 by 12.2. But so long as you're taking the same off the top as you are off the sides, that's how it would work. So where were the other measurements? What did I say? 3 7/8 and 5 5/8. I'd take off 1 inch. I'd make that 2 7/8 and 4 5/8. So we'll do that. Let's do that. So 8 by 12.2. And that's going to give me an equal border all the way around. And then obviously if you want to put a white layer over the top, you take off. You would want to probably keep the same border, so you take off 0.5 centimetre, so we're now down to 7.5 and 13.7. That would be 2 5/8, and that would be 4 3/8. There is no right or wrong because each card will be different in the terms of how big or small your gap is. No, it wouldn't be 13.7, would it? It would be 11.7. I was just thinking that's not right. But so long as you take the same amount off the top as you do off the bottom, you'll get a nice border all the way round. Does that help? I hope it helps. Look, I haven't even had to use the DSP. It probably makes sense to do it that way. You can make these smaller, you can make these bigger, you can have lots and lots and lots of layers, but so long as you're taking the same amount off the top as you are off the sides, that's how it would work. And I always recommend 0.5 centimetre, 1/4 inch. That's my recommendation. So I really, really hope it helps, but you have to know the size of your card blank when it's folded in half before you start taking stuff off, because otherwise you're just going to go, oh, it looks kind of right, and you're going to have that bit in too far and that bit's not going to be right. I wouldn't recommend a bigger border. Let me just take a little bit off here. I wouldn't recommend more than 0.5 inch. Personally, it just doesn't feel quite right. It feels too thick, too big a border. But that's just me. That's not to say it's right or wrong. That's just me. But yeah, 0.5 centimetre is a nice hint of a whisper of a border. And that, for me, is enough to get a nicely laid out card. Yeah, I don't like that. Don't like that. But I hope that has been useful as to how to mat and layer. Whatever your card blank is, take those measurements and take 0.5 centimetre off, or 1/4 inch, or if you're brave, 1/8 inch. But then you're going to have fun sticking it down. So, does that help? I really hope it does. If anybody's got any further thoughts or tips, feel free to add them. I don't have set measurements for these on my blogs. On my blog, I only have the one blog. I don't have the measurements written down in any kind of formula because I like to do cards with bigger layers and smaller layers and all of that sort of stuff. Let's just whack a bit more off there. Let's take another, let's take 1.5 centimetres off there. And 1.5 off there. We'll take some off there. Because I might want to do a card that looks like that. There is no right or wrong, but as long as it's 0.5 centimetre or 1/4 inch, you're going to be good to go. Really hope that's a useful tip video for you. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Hope to speak to you very soon. Bye.